Everybody wake up! It's time to stand up!
This is the first month I won't be able to afford rent. I'm not a rich person. I don't have a lot of stuff. I have basic household necessities, a couch, a bed, washer, a dryer. That's about it. A car. I don't have a lot of lavish things. I don't go on vacations and I don't spend a lot. Rent's increased from the food prices are too high. I've cut back on eating because I literally cannot afford food.
Americans are bursting out in tears simply because they can't afford the basic needs, the cost of living, grocery. Even people that are working so hard and tirelessly could not afford their basic needs. Let's watch some of this clip and we'll come back for the full analysis. This is the America that voted for Donald Trump.
I have to work 40 hours a week just so I can have a place to live. 40 hours a week makes me $2,000 a month, and my rent is $1,660. So I work 40 hours a week so I can have a 2-bedroom apartment and an extra $300 a month. Like, it doesn't cover my phone, internet, food, you know? So not only do I not have any extra money, but just working makes me so exhausted that I don't have time either. Like, I get off work at 5:30, come home, and I'm just so tired. Anything that I need to do outside of work, I then just push off to like the weekends, and I'm like, I'm just too tired to do this after work. I'll wait until Saturday. So then I end up with so much to do on the weekend that ends up having to be split into 2 days. So I have to do stuff on both Saturday and Sunday. So then I don't get a day off. I don't get a day to relax. I don't get to decompress. So it is really like working 7 days a week.
Hey TikTok, I'm just on here wondering if anybody's feeling the same way I'm feeling. I'm from Illinois and I feel like the gas prices and the electric bills and the prices of food is just so overwhelming anymore. Like, I'm wondering if anybody else is feeling like they're drowning and they can't get out. I work overtime and I cannot get above water. I mean, I literally have no gas for next week. It was either that or get a few groceries to get by. I hit my local food pantries. I'm just wondering if anybody else feels like they're drowning. But anyway, I hope everybody has a great day.
Y'all not understand how fucked up America gotta be for you to work hard and still have no fucking where to go? It's just like, oh my gosh, when is it all going to end? Like, y'all, it's so bad to the point where even though you work, you more than likely can't even eat every day. Not even 3 times a day. Me, none. Yet they expect us to keep working with a smile on our face. Fuck all of that. I be seeing why people don't fucking want to work. They pay us a little bit of money, but make everything fucking expensive. I'll be damned if I'm putting my life on the line for $14, $15. And then the whole time, your ass can get hurt or die at the fucking job you're at. So now, you done fucking wasted your whole life being a hard worker to a company that don't give a fuck about what you got going on. Don't give a fuck that you don't have nowhere to go. Just don't give a good goddamn. And certain people will never understand the frustration. You guys will never understand unless you're going through it. There is no reason why hard workers can't afford to eat, can't afford to live, can't afford to pay rent. It is so much. And I just wanted to let everybody out there know, okay? If you are deciding to bring your ass to America, hold on, y'all. Stay the fuck over there. Do not come over here. Please. I beg of you. This shit sucks. All prayers to all my Americans, all my USA motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying, my cousins, all that. We gotta figure something out, because this ain't gonna work for me.
I'm an American. I pay $1,600 for a flat that has no bedroom. That's 2/3 of my income. I'm an American. I work 50 hours a week. I don't have health insurance. I'm an American. I couldn't afford to have a child even if I wanted to. I'm $7,000 in debt. I'm an American. My health is declining because I can't afford Whole Foods because that's too expensive for my life. I am very overqualified for my job, but no one else is hiring. I'm an American. I make my boss hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, while I can barely keep myself alive. I'm an American. I have never been out of the States. I have never been on a vacation. I'm an American. I make $20-some an hour. A livable wage here is like 30-some. Yet I don't qualify for government assistance whatsoever. On the days I don't work, I'm so tired I just sleep all day. I'm an American. My electric bill is so expensive I sit outside in the heat because I can't afford to turn the AC on in the damn house. I'm an American, and I fear I'm just an average American. I'm living the American dream.
I did everything I was supposed to do. I was in the military, I went to college, I worked, and we can't buy a home. What did I do wrong? I'm a nurse and I love it. I love it. It's great.
And what does your husband do?
He's a manufacturing tech at Intel. So we have pretty good jobs, decent jobs.
Do you feel like those jobs are enough to cover your living expenses? And
Not even close. We pay about $3,000 in rent. We have all of the utilities. We have car payments, car insurance, mouths to feed, and gas. Maybe we have enough left over for groceries and toiletries and household stuff. Why are we struggling? I'm not gonna give up. The goal is to buy a home in 3 years. If I have to get a second job as a nurse, then so be it.
you will do that.
I'm gonna do it because I'm gonna give my kids something to be proud of.
There is a cost of living crisis in America, with millions of Americans struggling to pay for housing, childcare, healthcare. Maryland's state comptroller put out a report recently saying that working-aged, middle-income households are moving away to more affordable states. So how big of a problem is that? What are you doing about it?
I mean, it is a national problem, but it is a very big problem in the state of Maryland. It's just harder to get by. And frankly, it's not fair. When I'm watching 37% of young Marylanders say that they would consider leaving the state for one reason: housing costs. When I'm watching people who are saying, I don't understand how my energy bill went from $250 to $800, it's not fair to them. And I know, I think about my mom. I look at the situation that we grew up in. Like, I didn't grow up from a family of wealth. Like, this kind of stuff matters. In fact, my mother still to this day is like, why is my energy bill so high? So I get it every day.
And so what's your answer to your mother?
So, honestly, my answer is that we have not done enough to be able to really fortify the grid, to get more energy options. We haven't done enough when it comes to housing to be able to build more housing. And so the solutions that we have put on board, when it comes to things like energy, we've provided last year $200 million in rebates to Marylanders to make sure we're putting more money back in their pocket.
Living in America right now feels like a punishment. You wake up already behind, you go to work just to stay broke, and you watch the cost of everything rise while your paycheck doesn't move an inch. Groceries are a luxury, rent is robbery, healthcare is a joke, and somehow we're the ones blamed for not budgeting better. People are working 2-3 jobs and still choosing between food or gas. Families are crammed into apartments because buying a house became a fantasy. You can't afford to get sick. You can't afford to rest. You can't afford to exist. But they keep telling us the economy's strong. Strong for who? Because it sure as hell isn't the people doing the work. We're out here treading water while billionaires build rockets, politicians trade stocks, and corporations raise prices just because they can. We were promised opportunity. We got survival. And what makes this worse is watching people blame themselves. Like somehow you failed because you can't afford a 1-bedroom anymore. Like you didn't do enough When the truth is, the math just stopped adding up years ago. They told us to work harder, but never told us they'd change the finish line. This isn't a country full of lazy people. It's a country full of exhausted ones. Simple as that.
I went to the grocery store for 3 things: eggs, milk, and bread. And my bill was almost $30. It's insane. It's insane. My mortgage is almost $3,000. My car payment is $680. My HELOC is $600. It cost me $80 to fill up my gas tank and $300 in groceries. And then we have medical bills that we have to catch up on. My electric bill is almost $400. My gas bill is almost $200. My internet is about $50. And we're supposed to survive how? My husband makes really good money, but we're living paycheck to paycheck. We are literally paying just to survive because we had triplets and have never been able to catch up. Trying to work from home, barely making any money at all, but I'm busting my butt to do that. I get free products sent to my house every single day, but I'm not making money from that. It's a free product. So it looks like I'm making a lot of money, but I'm not. I work for Amazon, Sam's Club, Walmart. I work on Benable, Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, TikTok, and I'm barely making any money. I can barely keep my head above water. I feel like I'm drowning all the time. Why is America like this? It doesn't make any sense. Our family has 6, and we're barely surviving. And if I went back to work, I start to think of all the things that need to get done around the house. The laundry, the cleaning, the landscaping, the cooking, the home repairs that are piling up that I'm trying to catch up on because it's spring and I'm now seeing it even more. And all the other things that have to get done. I don't know how I can go back to work and do all that and take care of my kids and be present for them when they're still young. And I'm not saying all of this or any of this to make anyone feel bad for me. I'm actually just really asking, how are we all surviving?
The cost of living in this country is currently, it's not going to be, it is currently unsustainable. And there are people that they know this, but then they'll still look at somebody else that's struggling and then tell them they're not doing good enough. I want you to imagine somebody that makes $75,000 a year. That's a pretty high up wage in terms of like top earners in this country, $75,000 a year. And we're going to go through some things here. This is a person with no debt outside of a car. And please don't hit me with the, you can go buy a car for, shut up, you can't, shut up, stop saying ridiculous things. An entry-level decent car is $30,000. So this person who puts $200 a month into insurance and they pay 5% into their 401k because shut up, people should be able to put money into their retirement. Because if you're not doing it now, you're never going to get to start doing it later. So after those two things come out of their paycheck, and their taxes are paid, they bring home $53,850 a year from a $75,000 paycheck. Average rent in my state for a 1-bedroom apartment, because an adult should be able to live by themselves, $1,700. That car payment at 6% for an entry-level, very reasonable sedan, nothing fancy, a car payment's $579 a month. Car insurance, $240 or so a month for a lot of vehicles in this day and age. You're a young person, you've got a nice job, but the insurance companies still want to screw you over. Food. You only cook at home. You never, ever go out. You only cook at home and you only eat decent quality food because a human being should be allowed to eat decent quality food. You pay $879 a month for that. You spend $250 a month in gas. You wear and tear on your car $100 a month. $80 for your phone, $80 for your internet, $175 a month for your electricity, $70 for your water, $20 for your cash. You make $75,000 a year, and outside of a car payment, you have zero debt. Do you know how much money you have left over annually at a $75,000 wage? You do nothing. You don't own a Netflix. You don't go out on a date. You don't pay to go to a park. You don't go watch a movie. You do nothing. If you can't find it on the internet for free, you don't get to do it. If you can't cook it at home for your $800, you don't get to do it. You have $3,700 left over annually. That's like $320 a month. And there's going to be, well, that's $300. Shut up. Shut your stupid, contrarian, edgelord mouth. That's not a doctor bill, because God knows, just because we have insurance, doesn't mean that we don't still pay far out the ass when we go to the doctors. People like to be entertained. They want to date. They want to... There's those of you out there that will tell somebody living like this on $75,000 a year before taxes that they are not doing what they're supposed to do, that they should get a second job, that they should get a side hustle, that they should get a better job. And the fact that you would look at somebody with no debt other than a car and say something like this to them means objectively you're a moron and you live in a fantasy world. This is unsustainable.
I'm an American. I live in a 200 square foot flat that has no bedroom. I pay almost $1,800 a month for it now. That's not including utilities. I work full time. I work 10-hour shifts. I work 5 days a week. After I get my paychecks, if I'm to take out rent, utilities, my car payment, which is a 2016 used car, if I take out insurance on the car and medical expenses for my medication, I'm left with about $50 a month to cover for gas, food, and anything else I might need, such as like toilet paper, cleaning supplies, literally anything, except going to a doctor. Like, I haven't seen a doctor outside of my psychiatrist for like 3 years now, because fuck, I can't afford that shit. So needless to say, I'm in debt. I was already in debt, but just in the last year I've added $10K to my debt because girls gotta eat. When I made a video about this last year, I got a lot of hate for it online, people saying I need to just pick myself up by the bootstraps, you know, that I'm not trying hard enough. But I think people in America now are realizing that, like, yeah, you're one small step from getting to where I am, to homelessness, and more people are living like me every day. Degrees don't matter here. It just matters what kind of family you were born into, I guess. If you have money, you can sit in a bank and make money. But if you're a worker, you're not really a person here. You're just an asset. And where do you go when it's illegal in some states to be homeless? Why are we considered one of the wealthiest nations, and yet we have almost 1 million people on the streets living, and we can't take care of them? Why are we starting wars and sending money to other countries instead of helping the people here? Or even just using that money for good overseas instead of fucking evil? Americans are so used to hearing fake news that most of us probably still aren't aware of how the world actually works or what history it's actually had. And most of us are just trying to get through each day. We want to leave. We want to have a better life. How do you leave when you don't have money? You know, how do you just go to a different country and not just be homeless there? How do you even get there? I'm an American, and I'm just the average American. Don't come at me for the word flat. Granny flat is a thing in the United States.
You cannot live here.
And why so?
Seattle is not affordable. We are homeless. I used to work as a meat cutter. I made good money, but I still couldn't afford a place to live. You don't get housing. You have Catholic Community Services. They do nothing. You have SHARE. They do nothing. You have all these housing people, and they do nothing. They leave you out there. Right now I sleep in a tent. I'm 62 years old, and I'm too old for this.
How much does somebody need to be making a month to live well here?
I would probably say you probably need to be making about $200,000 a year to live well in Seattle with a family.
And how much does somebody need to make on a monthly basis just to get by and be able to pay for their rent, car insurance, everything like that?
I think you'd have to make at least $100,000 to live an actual full life and live on your own and be able to pay all your bills.
What do you do for work?
I'm head of HR.
For many Americans, the biggest election issue wasn't the politics, it was survival. As the cost of grocery, housing, healthcare, and everyday necessity continue to dominate household budgets, many voters are sharing their frustration online. Some who supported President Donald Trump says they are still waiting to see improvement in their personal finances, while others argue that economic challenges are the result of broader global trend and won't disappear overnight. Whatever the explanation is, one reality is difficult to ignore. Millions of families are feeling the financial pressure. Across social media and communities meeting, people are speaking openly about rising bills, shrinking savings, and the struggle to make ends meet. This conversation reveals just how deeply economic uncertainty affects everyday life, regardless of where people live or how they voted. The bigger question now is whether upcoming policies will bring meaningful relief or whether Americans should prepare for more difficult financial decisions in the months ahead. Because many voters who believe in the regime of President Donald Trump are now lamenting and bursting into tears that they could not afford to survive or even to afford where to place their head on. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you believe the economy is moving in the right direction? Or do you think many families will continue to struggle with the rising cost of living? Share your thoughts in the comments below and let's keep the conversation